What's up and welcome back to another video. My name is Devin Belanger, coming at you here from not the studio, but rather the deck, because it's a gorgeous sunset, and I figure that this will force me to stay on track because by the time it gets dark, I'll have to wrap this up. So I wanted to make this video for a while, and I figured the best way to do it would just be to be a little bit informal and talk about my experience. Social media versus artists. How do we stay sane as musicians when it seems like nowadays people would much rather watch content like this than watch content like this? I know this because these are both my videos, and this one got, I think, at the time of recording, 600,000 views, and this one got about 200 views. One of those is a complete throwaway piece of content that I made about a meme that uses my song, and one of those is a lyric video that I worked with a professional artist on, and a song that took me probably several hundred hours to make, and one of them is clearly a higher effort and more artistic piece of content than the others. I'll let you decide. That brings me to the reason I made this video. How do we as musicians survive in a landscape where it feels like we're just spinning a wheel at a casino? We're just spinning the roulette wheel and seeing what works, what doesn't. It feels completely random, and it doesn't really matter how much effort or artistic value is in our content. What matters is how much dopamine it elicits. Well, fear not, because hopefully by the end of this video, I will make you feel a little bit more optimistic about the situation, as I have ridden the highs and the lows of the modern musician's life. So let me know if you like this video, this more informal kind of discussion, and yeah, make sure to like and subscribe if you do. Comment below if you make music and this is helpful, or if you're just here for the synth videos, or if you're just here for the vibes for Ruffles the Cat. Either way, I appreciate you watching. So before I go any further, I was really inspired by a video I found while researching this topic by someone named Wundertone. I'll link him in the description, but basically he talks about a really similar problem where he was posting and spending more time on content than on actual music, than on actual art. That is super depressing, but it's unfortunately a trap that so many of us fall into, including myself. If we rewind all the way back to about 2018, 2019, I was just constantly posting on social media. I was doing the cringy, talking to the camera. I was not very good at talking to the camera at all. I was doing all sorts of things of, vlogs, like updating people on my life, that kind of thing, trying literally anything, just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what works. I finally started to get a bit of success on TikTok doing that, but however, it made me completely burn out. And like I've mentioned in other videos, by about 2019, I was completely depressed and just did not enjoy doing music, period, anymore. I felt like I was completely plateauing and didn't know what was going on. So my first and biggest piece of advice for musicians is really just think about what you actually enjoy doing, because this is not sustainable at all if you are forcing yourself to put out content that you don't like. For me, I stumbled into that by accident with this YouTube channel. For the longest time, I was trying and failing, still am, at posting on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Trust me, I still don't understand why, but I get like no likes there, until I discovered YouTube, and more specifically, talking about something I was really passionate about on YouTube, which was, of course, spoiler alert, synthesizers. So just like that, I found something that all of a sudden wasn't a chore for me to make videos on. And instead of me approaching things like, oh God, I have to make 3 more pieces of content to promote this song, it started to become more about like, hey, I use the Korg Prologue on this piece of music. I'm going to talk about that and kind of do a project breakdown and talk about the stems. I'm going to do some jamming. I'm going to design some patches, which I can then use later on in my own songs. And as you can see, when comparing my Instagram to my YouTube, that obviously worked so much better than trying to just force myself into being some sort of persona on social media that I was. I get to be my genuine self here because I am a huge nerd who loves synthesizers. And ironically, that worked better to cross-promote people to listen to my music than any of the actual overt marketing tactics I tried on social media of trying to tell people to listen to my song or making cringy short form videos like that. So that's worth repeating, but you have to make sure you're doing some kind of content that you actually like. And if you don't want to make content, that's fine. You can still just release music. But unfortunately, the current landscape, it might change, it might not, is you pretty much do need to promote music with some form of social media content. So make it something you like. The second trap I fell into, and my second piece of advice, is do not pay attention to what other people are doing. For the longest time, I used to really kind of edit and change my music, change my content, change my appearance, change my videos, whatever it might be, to match what I perceived as what people wanted and what was working. And I look back and I think it resulted in a really kind of inauthentic period of Miles Away in my creative output, where I was making stuff and it would be really, really great and inspiring, but then I would send it to my label and they'd be like, no, you know what, we need to change the drop so it hits harder, or we need to, change this part of the song because it's too long and people will get bored. And I would just listen because I was so kind of, desperate to get attention and get more followers and that kind of thing. And it never works out. None of those songs are memorable at all. They're all just lost in the sea of kind of content that I put out. And the same thing applies with videos. A lot of the time when I would just, copy a video idea and try to make it be something trending, or try to, show people that, I could do more than just the synth stuff and my own original music, those videos I look back on and they're really cringy. They're not good. Because at the end of the day, the number one thing I've found after doing this YouTube thing for, almost 4 years now, and doing the Miles Away thing for 6 years, I really genuinely noticed that people like authenticity. And what you're hearing right now, this is authentically me. I'm coming at you live from my balcony and I'm talking about something that I truly believe in. There's no script. It's all just naturally me. And I 100%, me personally, I would rather watch this than some personalized, like perfectly done ad that is going to fit the algorithm perfectly, that's based off of another video template that somebody else has done. So that's my number 2 piece of advice. Make sure whatever kind of content you're doing, it's authentically you and you're not trying to copy other people who are bigger, because you'll never be as big as them. It'll never go far because that's authentically them. You are authentically you. And then the final piece of advice I have that ties into these 2 things for how to survive in the social media era as musicians is don't let numbers define you. For me, I've gone through this really recently where I came off of having a really great period where my monthly listeners went up, 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 and up because of the success that my song Bring Me Back had, only to release this new record, Besides Hope, which I truly think is one of my best songs ever made. And due to, the algorithm, we hadn't posted in a while, switching the channels over, it's not getting nearly as many streams as I was hoping. But you have to just remember that if you put out stuff that you are proud of, whether it connects deeply with 1 person, 10 people, 1,000 persons, or 1 million people, then it doesn't matter. It's connecting with somebody. And honestly, some of my favorite messages I've ever gotten are on some of my less known songs, like Set You Free, 2 Halves of a Heart. And I think that those are the songs, ironically, that when I look back on life at kind of like from a distance, when I'm not in the moment and just worrying about, oh my God, numbers going up like dollars and cents, those are the songs I'm the most proud of. And I really am more proud of those songs than maybe some of the ones where I put it out and I was kind of like, oh great, this is doing really well, but I wasn't fully behind it artistically. And ironically, not ironically, but kind of, it's worth mentioning that these kinds of songs, you might not feel it at first, but these are 100% what creates a community around your music at the end of the day, right? Think of your favorite artist that you like an entire album by them, right? Maybe it's not even their most popular album, but you deeply connect with this. It might have been the soundtrack of a trip you took somewhere, or the soundtrack of your last year of school and college, whatever it might be. Those are the kind of fans that if you're a musician, you want those kinds of fans more than somebody who's just seen a funny, cringy short that made them laugh for 5 seconds, clicked like, and then moved on. Those people are not going to follow your entire life and your entire career, whereas the people, might be fewer of them, but the people that genuinely connect with your art because they can see it's authentically you, those are the people who you should cherish. And I personally cherish every single person who has listened to my music and has thought of me that way. And those are the people you really want listening to music more so than just digesting some kind of short content that your heart's not really in. Anyways, I've been rambling long enough. The sun's almost down. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you did. Let me know in the comments what you think of tactics and strategies for surviving the social media landscape as an artist, as a musician, and I will see you in the next video.